And you're welcome back. The outgoing African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina has come under fire for his recent comments on Nigeria's post-independence development. Presidential aide Bayo Onanuga criticized Adesina's claim that Nigerians are worse off today than in 1960, calling it, quote, based on figures that do not align with available data, end quote. In a post on X on Monday, Onanuga challenged Adesina's comparison of GDP per capita between 1960 and 2025, describing it as both flawed and misleading. He cited data indicating that Nigeria's GDP in 1960 stood at $4.2 billion with a population of 44.9 million, putting per capita income at just $93. Onanuga also noted that significant economic growth only began in the 1970s, largely driven by oil revenue. And now joining us now is Peter Ameh, the Secretary of the Coalition of United Political Parties, and he joins us to give a bit more critique following the criticism by the presidential aide. Mr. Ameh, thank you so much for joining us, and let's just get started, shall we? The poverty in the country today is worse than we've seen. I mean, from 2022, when the report of about 70% of Nigeria's population is entrenched in multi-dimensional poverty, and that is about 135 million people. And that was 2002. The price of food has changed since then. The price of fuel has changed since then. And even though the minimum wage have increased, the realities on the streets is still dire. I mean, so how true is this claim that from 1960 to 2025 is basically unfair to compare the two, to put a comparison between the two times?
No, I don't know. My network is actually fluctuating, but the fact still remains that what Adesina said is actually true. And if you look at our reality and what we're facing, and look at the data from UNICEF and the data from World Bank, you know at the time there was they said 129 Nigerians, about 56% of Nigeria were facing multidimensional poverty. Today, the current data says that about 54% of Nigerians are in abject poverty. Then you look at 75.5% in rural community living in abject poverty, and 41.3% in urban communities having the same poverty. So the failure for the APC government to also accept verifiable data as a means of trying to look at benchmark to be able to adjust the downward spiral of the country's economic development, to be able to arrest the bad leadership that has, brought us to this level, and looking at how to invest more in agriculture, whereas one of the shortest gestation period to be able to take Nigeria out of poverty, it baffles me. Because if not because they are interested in trying to score political point, in trying to make everything look like politics, and then in trying to entrench personal interest over collective welfare of the Nigerian people, I think this advice from Adesina and every other person that have sincere concern for the development of this country should be taken serious by anybody in government. They are holding power in trust for the people. It is not about who is contesting what and who is the antagonistic what. It's about who is bringing the best idea to bear on how to be able to do proper investment and take Nigeria to more progressive form of investment, right, from so much over-reliance, dependence on oil products.
Mr. Ameh, I mean, two things to take away here from is, the political posturing, but most importantly, the disdain and the intolerance for dissent, as we've seen completely with this administration. But we're going to get into that, and just to make a case for the government, right? We've seen rhetorics from whether it's Wale Adu or the Minister of, whichever who is in charge of finance. Have always said that, Nigeria is, with all of the metrics, I mean, from the IMF and every other World Bank who looks at the metrics in terms of our economy, would say that we're staring towards and looking more attractive for investors to come in. So would you say that it's, somewhat fair, given the dynamics that they find that this government adopted this government and the state of the country, and they're trying to do the best that they can to salvage the situation and steer the country back and its economy back to boosting more yields for the people of Nigeria?
No, we are not seeing any deliberate plan, towards attracting foreign investment. And that's why we have contested the fact that they should show us the data of how many investment, look at the level of business that have closed. These are public verifiable data. Business that are closing down because of multiple taxation, lack of proper framework for electricity development in this safe sector. So we have a situation where government does not have a plan. When government policy is not driving towards encouraging both foreign and local investors to come and invest, the security issue is also very paramount. We must take that into consideration, because without proper security measures, without safety of life and property, you have no more people coming to invest. So the government have a lot of work to do. And I think that the best thing for the government to do is not to see everybody that speak about the interest of this country, that offer genuine solution, and then try to do comparison. Do they know the worth of the naira to the dollar in comparison to what Adesina have talked about? Do they know how much is the naira to the dollar today? Do they know what is the worth of 70,000 take-home pay of every civil servant? It is worthless, because you can see that you had a policy, irrational policy implementation process that actually further deepen and push more Nigeria into poverty than any time in the life of any administration. So if the government is not willing to sit down to look at proper measures and proper things to do, to be able to look at rural poverty, look at minority children and what to be provided to be able to take them out of poverty, and they are still denying the current reality of the Nigerian state without trying to bring out professionals and experts who have managed international bodies like Adesina to come and discuss with them. And what they see is politics. They see everybody who is speaking as somebody who wants to take their job. So these are not people who are interested in the economic development of this country. Right. They are not interested in the holistic view of the economic situation that has made more Nigerians push more Nigeria into poverty. But they are more interested in protecting a job that serves only the interest of those who are in government, that serves the interest of those who be able to put money where to not have positive effect on the life of the people. Because if you have put more money into removing ourselves from the monoproduct economy that we are running today, and look at the gestation period for the agricultural investment project, then we would have had more better opportunity to create jobs and create food for our teeming population. Mr.
Ameh, you are the secretary of the Coalition of United Political Parties, and yourself and and COP have been very vocal about critiquing this government. I want you to talk about what we're seeing in terms of intolerance for dissent and anything that doesn't align with the language or the rhetoric from the federal government, or whether it's aides or the federal government or federal might, is seen completely as not falling in line, and so this heavy language, or this clamming down and just going straight for the jugular, and we see that. Let's talk about that intolerance and what it means for our democracy in present day. Very quickly, because we're out of time.
Yeah. No, look, it is crystal clear that this government is not interested in expanding and deepening the democratic space for people to participate, for people to have their voice heard as enshrined in the Section 39 of the Constitution of Nigeria. It is crystal clear that what this government is interested in shrinking the political space to be able to have more power to themselves and oppress as many people as possible. Because if you look at even the tone of their press release, it is not does not show that it's a government that is meant for the people, a government that listens to the advice of its own citizens, because they have seen themselves as a government unto its own self that is only responsible and only responds to their own yearnings and their own opinion. So any other person's opinion must be crushed and must be looked. They will look for any possible way to intimidate those people from not having, the free will to speak. So this is a democracy, and the government must understand that they hold this power and trust on behalf of the people, and this power should be used for the benefit of the people. And every Nigerian, whether home and abroad, is speaking so that Nigerians can take his position in the Committee of Nations and to be able to start to be the leading nation, a leading nation in the global economic market. So we cannot have this kind of the size of land we have, the strength of our population based as is the data speaks for our youth, and then we have this poverty spreading across our length and breadth of our nation that is not being caught because we have a government in place that is intolerant and does not understand the sacred principle of democracy.
Mr. Ameh, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us. Mr. Peter Ameh is the Secretary for the Coalition of United Political Parties for Nigeria. Once again, thank you for your insights and, of course, your comments. We appreciate you.